The much ballyhooed report from the Attorney General of New York State has finally come to an end, and they found out that yes, Andrew Cuomo is indeed guilty of not what they should have been discussing and investigating to begin with. They should have been looking at the nursing homes. They should have been looking at the long-term care facilities. But no. That would take down way too many dominoes in the same stack. So we'll just try to hit him on the fact that maybe he might have grabbed some asses and he might have said some inappropriate or spicy jokes out there. We'll go ahead and we'll try to hit him on that because that's all that is there, maybe, potentially. God, it's just the dumbest way to go about this, okay? Andrew Cuomo, I have no love for him, okay? I think that his governing is absolutely atrocious, and he should be removed, just not for this reason. This is not a hill that he should be dying on, or being forced to die on, rather. Mostly because I've seen some of the allegations. It's a over 164-page report. Haven't read all of it because, well, obviously it's 164 pages and it just dropped a couple hours ago. But they're still as wafer thin as when we first went over it, when all of this stuff started to break in light of his nursing home policy becoming public. Now, before we dig too deep into this, do I think that this ends up ballooning into something bigger? Does this end up with Andrew Cuomo being gone in a couple of months? No, because I think he's going to stand his ground. I think that he's going to shrug off all of the allegations that are going to be out there, or rather calls for him to resign, and they're already starting to come in, but this is today, okay? Democrats right now in higher office continue to push a narrative that they can easily replace this with once the ratings wheels fall off this bus. I would like to be wrong. I would very much like to see him gone, just not for this reason. Cuomo sexually harassed multiple women. Another thing that we're going to have to pay attention to in this one is phrasing, okay? Because as you can see here, he sexually harassed people. Other than being a human resource violation, it's not a crime. So, okay, why did we need the Attorney General on this one? New York Governor Andrew Cuomo sexually harassed several women and retaliated against a former employee. Oh my God, so he's a bit of a dick. Okay, we already knew that, okay? You've seen any of his press conferences? He's a bit of a fucking old curmudgeon. We're not breaking any new ground here. According to New York Attorney General Lelitta James, accusing the Democrat governor of violating laws. Accusing, but then again, you just ran an investigation. If you had any charges to lay against him, you would have done it then. But all you can do is just say, yeah, we think he might have done something wrong, so what was the entire point of this probe? Just to waste more taxpayer money? That's something that New York State is pretty good at, so that makes sense. Governor Andrew Cuomo sexually harassed multiple women and in doing so violated federal and state law. Which ones? Care to be specific? You're an attorney. James said in a news conference on Tuesday, adding that Cuomo fostered a hostile and unsafe work environment. Okay, care to define how and why? Like I said, I'm partial to believing this stuff. He seems like a very volatile dick, so a hostile work environment? Of course, unsafe? I don't necessarily think he was out there fucking whipping anybody. So we'll just keep the fucking weak-ass phraseology to a minimum, shall we? You're a prosecutor after all. The governor engaged in unwanted groping, kissing, and hugging, and as well as making inappropriate remarks. Okay. James' office concurrently released a 165-page report following an investigation which started in March, where several women publicly accused the governor of misconduct months and years after it happened. So you can see that they're all still very traumatized. This is kind of one of these topics that I like to cover extensively, because whenever these baseless accusations, whether they're sexual or racial or just some sort of nebulous catch-all term, whenever there's a very low bar of entry, whenever somebody can make these accusations in order to either turn a quick buck or seek vengeance out on somebody else, it's always important to call them out and ask for there to be a little bit, a little bit of accountability from these baseless accusations. Like, okay, he grabbed an ass. Okay, he went in for a smooch. He's Italian after all. And hugging. Has anybody died of aggressive hugging? Like, maybe if you go to Dollywood and Ms. Pardon leans in for a close one, you might have a bit of a trouble. But outside of that, like, what are we doing here? The report, which doesn't have any criminal consequences. Exactly. Oh, he definitely violated federal and state laws. Which ones are those? The ones that he violated. Okay. Included interviews with 179 witnesses and a review of thousands of documents. Got the report pulled up here, and just from Charlotte Bennett, who we will get to in a moment, because we have the list of accusers that are down there and some of their more spicy takes on things. Charlotte Bennett here in a series of conversations in 2020 with an aide. Charlotte Bennett, the governor, made inappropriate comments, including, among other things, number one, telling Ms. Bennett and talking about potential girlfriends for him that he would be willing to date someone who was as young as 22 years old. He knew Ms. Bennett was 25 at the time. Okay. A little bit of a weird conversation to be having, but we also don't know the context of their relationship. Like, okay, he was obviously a superior to her. She was an aide, but what is their personal relationship, okay? Number two, asking her whether she has been with older men. You ever seen a grown man naked? Number three, saying to her during the pandemic that if she was lonely and wanted to be touched. I don't know, that seems like it's escalating a little bit, but whatever. Again, number four, asking whether Ms. Bennett was monogamous. Interesting. Number five, telling Ms. Bennett after she told him that she was considering getting a tattoo for her birthday. Oof, that should be a red flag right there. That if she decided to get a tattoo, she should get it on her butt where it could not be seen. That's just something funny to say. Again, I don't like Cuomo, but I think he would be a pisser to hang out with. It continues to go on, and nothing's any more salacious than that. So that was millions of taxpayer dollars just fucked away. But here we go. Here are some of the more higher profile accusers for Andrew Cuomo right now. We got Lindsey Boylan, 36-year-old. Oh, I think that's a little bit out of his age range. This must have been a long time ago. Was the first former Cuomo aide to come forward last year, writing an essay on Medium. Ooh, I think anybody can do that. That the governor had harassed her multiple times between 2016 and 2018 when she worked as a state economic development official. Okay. Among her allegations was Cuomo kissed her on the lips without warning. What, she wanted a fucking consent ticket in 2016? Get out of here. Without warning in his Manhattan office in 2018, and that he once suggested the two play strip poker on a state plane. Again, all we're finding out is, yeah, he might be on the fucking spectrum. But outside of that, I don't see what's illegal here. I really don't. It's not like he's saying we're playing strip poker right now and fucking ripped her blouse off. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Charlotte Bennett, we went through some of her stuff, but a 25-year-old aide with crazy eyes told the New York Times in February that the governor asked her inappropriate personal questions, told her she was open to relationships with women in their 20s, and let her feelings that he wanted to sleep with me. Oh my God, but did he actually do it? Was it like right there on the governor's desk? No? Oh, okay, cool. He just said, hey, do you want to? And she's like, no. And he's like, okay, I'll get another aide. And a list, the less you see of her, the better. Am I right? List 35, a policy and operations aide who worked for the governor in 2013-2015, said he'd behave inappropriately while on the job in Albany. Cuomo called her sweetheart. Again, do that with some of my fucking male friends, for Christ's sake. So it's whatever. It's just a fucking goofy term. And it sounds like we just have a pattern here. This is just how Cuomo does it, and there's probably some male aides that are there, not that type, but the other ones. I could probably say, yeah, he was acting a little bit less than professional with me as well, and why don't we hear any of their stories? Why don't we let them speak their truths? Called her sweetheart, asked if she had a boyfriend, touched her lower back, and kissed her hand. Oh my God, he sounds like a monster. Allison McGrath, she looks like every broad you've ever seen on Staten Island. 35, came from current aide to speak out. The first current aide to speak out about sexual harassment in the governor's office, telling the Times in August that Cuomo looked down her shirt. Don't wear low-cut shirts. Quizzed her on her marital status and told her she was beautiful. What a fucking just atrocious monster. Executive assistant number one, a current Cuomo aide who hasn't been publicly identified. Again, another one of these baseless accusations from somebody who doesn't even have the self-respect to put their name out there, because if you're going to be stopping such a monstrous individual, why would you be leaning in for such a nice close embrace like that? I'm just wondering. Interesting. Let's see how salacious these accusations get. Investigators referred to to the woman as executive assistant number 1, in their report finding that Cuomo's behavior towards her included regular hugs and kisses on the cheek and incidences where the governor grabbed her butt. Oh my God. Yeah, it steps up again because all of those other ones that were out there, it was just kind of the heavy-handed wordplay. It was more or less, hey, you want to go fuck in the closet over there? And then outside of that, it's like, oh, okay, oh, might have touched you on the lower back. It's like, okay, was it a hug and he was just trying to walk you somewhere? Like, there are many other scenarios, and if you don't want to be clear on this, that's fine. But if you had a real problem, why did you wait like 5 years in some instances and 7 years in other? And then this one, she won't even put her name out there. And this is where it gets ratcheted up, okay? He grabbed my ass. Well, honey, if it looks that good, why do you put it out there? You could be wearing something that covers you up a little bit better if you don't like the attention. Trooper number 1. Oh, maybe this is a good girl. The report to the first time allegations that Cuomo, on multiple occasions, sexually harassed an unnamed female state trooper. By what, calling her sweet cheeks and telling her that her utility belt looks cute on her? Oh, was assigned to his protective detail in 2016. Cuomo keeps himself in pretty good shape. If anybody was going to be hassling the pair of them, I think little girl cop would be the one that needed the help. It said the governor ran his hands or fingers across her stomach and her back, kissed her on the cheek, asked her for help finding a girlfriend, and asked why she doesn't wear a dress. Again, no name to this one, but then ratcheted up accusations. It doesn't really make sense. And the rest of the stuff, it just keeps reading over and over and over again. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of women, okay? Oh, yes, he took that picture. And that was a certain screen grab. And obviously, micro expressions are indeed a thing when it comes to reading body language. And that could just be a selectively picked clip out of the video that was there. But, yeah, again, I'm not trying to run cover for him, okay? If he was out there fucking wantingly tongue punching some fart boxes, it's by all means lock him up for rape, lock him up for sexual assault, some things that actually are crimes. But let's move on. You know his brother, Fredo. He's got that CNN show, right? It's wildly popular. Sure, okay. He helped out his brother by testifying on his behalf, writing up a little dismissal because, you know, he's in the business, you know, not the family business, because that's the governor mansion up there in Albany. You, Fredo, you gotta go down to the city and you gotta go sit in that fucking CNN office, You gotta go down to Atlanta. You need to go see some friends of ours and get our message out there. That's what he was doing. That's what he was doing on the DL. That's why he wouldn't discuss any of this stuff on his late night show, and he just played it off after months and months and months of having him on nearly nightly in order to just fucking lap his ass about how good of a response he's gave to the coronavirus in New York State and how it's been locked up tighter than a nun's box and there's nothing adversely affecting New York and you're doing just such a great job. Until the reports, until you take a look at any pictures that come out of New York City and realize that it is a desolate wasteland akin to Mad Max that is just gonna take a long fucking time to recover. But no, he's his brother and he's got to stick together. And I find that a little bit endearing, but then at the end of the day, you're also running cover for somebody who's not that great of an individual. According to investigators, CNN's Chris... Oh, come on, let's not editorialize and let's at least use the right type of quotation marks, because you got the single and you got the double. Fredo Cuomo was heavily involved in drafting a denial that basically dismissed Governor Andrew Cuomo's multiple accusers as liars and cranks. Oh my God, that's kind of what they are. Do not overlook the Cuomo Report appendix, tweeted New York Times national political reporter Shane Goldmacher, which includes Charlotte Bennett's text about her Cuomo interactions. Okay, it's not even between the two, it's just a conversation about something else. Okay, take that as you will. And his email from Chris Cuomo appearing to draft a statement for his brother. If you look at the screen-capped email above, let's take a look actually. Questions have been raised about some of my past interactions with people in the office. Oh, okay, this is from Chris Cuomo, apparently. I spend most of my life at work, and the colleagues are often also personal friends. I never intended to offend anyone or cause any harm. So, clearly, this is drafted for somebody going through some spicy allegations. That's what it seems to be. Can't necessarily say for sure it would have been for his brother, but we can kind of connect the dots there. And that's, what it goes on to say here. It looks as though Chris Cuomo submitted the draft, a statement to Andrew Cuomo's crisis team that would paint Andrew Cuomo's accusers as hysterics who are either lying or overblowing their sexual misconduct allegations. Okay, so not even all the accusations were out there, and they were already trying to run the lunatic angle. I do appreciate that, and you know what? I find some kind of truth to that counter-accusation. And then as it continues here, what's more, if you look at the eventual statement Andrew released a few days later, there's no question the submitted draft, apparently from Chris, was used. And then they have a side-by-side comparison. So yeah, okay, it was for his brother, but did you expect anything else? Just nice to know that mainstream media is firmly in bed with the Democratic Party. You just like to have those concrete connections ensconced forever. But like I said in the beginning, there's calls. There's calls for his resignation. But again, I also mentioned phrasing. Phrasing is very, very, very important. And it says here in the headlines, Biden calls on Cuomo to resign after AG's sexual harassment report. Not necessarily. And he stopped short several times during his statement. Biden, this is. President Joe Biden said New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, a fellow Democrat, should resign from office following a state attorney general report that alleged he engaged in patterns of sexual harassment and intimidation that violated state and federal laws. I think he should resign, Biden said on Tuesday afternoon during a news conference, adding that the state legislature may decide to impeach him. A number of other New York Democrats, including the state congressional delegation, called on Cuomo to step down. How was that phrased? Andrew Cuomo needs to resign? Or I think he probably should resign. Biden, okay, give him a lot of shit for just being an absent-minded old senior citizen. But because he obviously would have had these questions in advance, he had enough time to prep that, okay? And maybe that's one of those synapses in his brain that still connects with another one. He knows that if he pushes too hard on this Cuomo report, one could be fired up against him in about 18 months' time when Republicans take back the House and realize that there are just as many, if not more, skeletons in those closets, because we've all seen the creepy Uncle Joe reels on YouTube or wherever you want to find them. The old hair sniffer in chief, the man who leans in and tells fucking prepubescent girls, no dating until at least you're 30, or handing off a used mask to a fucking 13-year-old boy in order to take a photo op with him. Like, is it some sort of memorabilia you get from the president? One of his fucking disposable masks? A little weird, but okay. They don't want to push too hard, okay? This is one of those things, because I was thinking, it's like, okay, could this blow up the whole Me Too narrative? It's like, okay, if the Democrats just want to go hard, either for or against Cuomo, he stands his ground. These accusations come out as baseless. That blows up the Me Too narrative, okay? Or at the same time, if the Democrats back Cuomo super hard, which we won't know at least for a couple of days, because yeah, they're coming in strong and steady right now. The calls, or maybe even just the vague pushes for him to resign. But Pelosi's calling for it. Biden, however you want to interpret it. But again, I think he should. It's not he should. It's one of those things for it to be up in the headlines for the time being. But it is Tuesday, and by the end of the weekend, could all of this stuff just be gone and some new crisis rolls in? Abso-fucking-lutely. So do pay attention to that long term. But yeah, to just wrap up that whole, okay, if the Democrats get behind Cuomo on this one, that kind of betrays the entire Me Too movement and then just defangs it completely. But then, at the same time, I remember that these are Democrats after all, and they don't care about logical consistency. So there's really no fear of losing that very helpful cancel culture tool, Me Too, regardless of which position they take. I just think that this is going to disappear for a little while. Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary who just got back, told reporters before Biden's comments that she would leave discussing the allegations against Cuomo up to him. Yeah, because the White House right now, because they want to pay attention to what the public wants to do on this one. They just want to sit back and take a look, because remember, Cuomo was like, inches away from running in 2022 or 2020, 2024. Biden's not quite up to it. It would have been Cuomo up there, because he had all of those celebrities and all of those people posting, oh, I'm a Cuomo sexual because he's doing such a good job. He's so much better than Orange Man. I bought 9 copies of his book because he's such a great leader. The only thing that we found out so far, he's a great follower, mostly because he likes to grab asses. I don't know that anyone could have watched this morning and not found the allegations to be abhorrent. I know I certainly did. Don't worry, you will never be sexually harassed. Trust me. all women who have lived through, Freudian slip. Lived through this type of experience, whether it's harassment, abuse, or the worst case, assault. Again, it's word association here. He's only been alleged of committing sexual harassment. No assault, no rape, no abuse, harassment. Let's not ratchet it up unless the circumstance calls for it. Anyways, they deserve to have their voices heard. Yeah, and then parsed out to see if they're credible or not. Not, I felt uncomfortable when he posed for a picture. Oh, you go, girl, let's believe all women deserve to be treated with respect and with dignity. Oh, sorry, I guess I would have failed you. Sorry, Jen. I'll catch you on the next one. But yeah, okay. So, right before we started to roll on this one, Cuomo defies calls to resign after probe finds he harassed women. He came out and he made a statement, and he's like, if you take a look at the evidence, it's just it's not there, okay? Yeah, these broads, they got out of line, and then I just needed to tell them. It's like, hey, don't worry, old, Mr. Cuomo's here if you need a shoulder to cry on or a lap to rest your head in for a while. Hey, I got ya. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo defied calls to step down on Tuesday after an investigation found he sexually harassed multiple women and retaliated against a former employee. Okay. Cuomo, a Democrat in his third term in office, in a video message accused the investigators of being politically motivated and urged New Yorkers to read a competing report he had produced about the incidents with women. It's like, okay, politically motivated? From who? It's more Democrats within New York. Lelitta James is not a flag-waving Republican, okay? She is a part of your party, okay? I don't think that it's politically motivated at all. These are the same people who were behind you not but a year ago. So it's one of those instances, right, of the left eating the left. You're not left enough, Cuomo. You've been around for, 12 years at this point? For all intents and purposes, looks like you'll run again in 2022. You've been around for a long old fucking time. Things have changed, times have changed, but your taste in AIDS really hasn't. That's what's landed you in this trouble. You just need to do a better background checks on your bitches. Plain and simple. And don't shit where you eat. Please take the time to read the facts and decide for yourself. He said, I never touched anyone inappropriately or made inappropriate sexual advances. 11 women this year accused Cuomo of sexually harassing them, and the governor agreed to an investigation into the claims. New York Attorney General Lelitta James, another Democrat, there you go, handed over the probe to a team led by... that looked like a slur for a second. June Kim, a former acting U.S. attorney, and Ann Clark, an employment law expert. Ugh, I bet you she has the biggest charm bracelet. The team's report, published Monday, said Cuomo did engage in sexual harassment, and his chamber mishandled sexual harassment allegations. Like they do a lot of things, so... nothing really shocking there, and we've already gone over the accusations, and it's going to get ratcheted up. And, okay, so New York prosecutor criminally investigating Cuomo will request evidence from sexual harassment probe. Let's see if this goes anywhere, okay? Because, yeah, if he gets convicted of any of these charges, if this does ratchet up to sexual assault, to anything worse than that, then yeah, hang him on those charges. Don't just be believing all women, because we all know, we've seen the pattern before. Just blind faith doesn't tend to pay off. I think that that's a good place to leave this for the time being. And unfortunately, we got to talk about the coup next. We're going to start in New York and then work its way out, because more developments, not from Cuomo, but from his little partner in crime, Bill de Blasio, is signaling the future. And y'all seeing it coming. It's just kicking up right now. With that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.